Oh my God, it's September. It's Stone Soup Poetry. It is Jack Power's birthday. Not today, but it's the month of his birthday. I think his birthday was 3 or 4 days ago. This is this is an amazing evening. It's the first time we've had Carol back in a long time, and now we have Carol. It almost feels like stereo. We get Carol we get the whole visual audio package for much of the pandemic and post pandemic years of Stone Soup. When Carol Weston has been able to join, she's only been able to join by telephone, and usually she calls me, and then I'm able to call the 87-digit number that gets connected to the Zoom, and then through that system of cans and wires, we are able to hear her. And now, thanks to family, thank you, Carol Blecker and company, we now get to hear Carol and see her. It's the full package. It is the whole package deal. It's 5 years in the making. Carol, if you know her, you used to see her as a regular staple at Stone Soup Poetry in the Cambridge area and all around the Boston area, to be quite honest. She was a staple at the local gatherings for the Boston Poetry Marathon. Nowadays, she operates remotely from Carol Weston headquarters. That's what we're calling it. We're putting in the patent and copyright now. And now she is here for you. I have created a bio. This is the boilerplate that we've used for a couple of times for Carol, and I'm happy to read it now as she blushes. Carol Weston's history as a poet is linked to such figures as Jack Powers, John Wieners, Robert Lowell, Allen Ginsberg, and Carl Solomon, to whom Allen Ginsberg Howl was dedicated. Her credentials include being poetry editor of the Impressions Workshop. She was published in the Farley Dickinson Journal alongside Donald Justice, Philip Levine, and Anne Sexton. She is also the author of What the Poet Expects of Himself, a title I can only read in Carol's inflection, an essay published in the Tufts Review. She taught for 10 years at the Chestnut Hills School. She read alongside Jack Powers and Allen Ginsberg in 1973 in the former Charles Street Universalist Church. In the winter of 1983, she was asked by Powers to feature in Boston City Hall along with John Wieners. On May 11, 2011, Carol performed her poem Peacefire alongside musician John Voight for Stone Soup Poetry's 40th anniversary celebration and tribute to Jack Powers, Stone Soup's late founder. In 2013, she was one of the panelists for Stone Soup Poetry, a retrospective, also available on YouTube. It was presented at the Massachusetts Poetry Festival in Salem, Massachusetts. Her poetry credits include the Farley Literary Review, Bomb, the Stone Soup Anthology of 2023, the online journal Spoonful, Stone Soup Presents Fresh Broth, and the anthology dedicated to John Wieners, published by Press Wafer Press, The Blind See Only This World. Her chapbook Spirals, Whirls, Sutures, Septa was published by Stone Soup and Jack Powers in 1978. And I happen to know for a fact that there are collections, at least one collection in the works, thanks to Lily Poetry Press. I can't wait to see this book. I hope it comes out. But now we get to hear previews of that. We get to hear everything that Carol has prepared for us. So, ladies and gentlemen, I usually say put your hands together 30 times virtually, mime it. But this time, I want you to turn your mute buttons off, and I want you to say it with me. Carol, Carol,
Carol,
Carol,
Carol,
Carol, Carol, Carol, Carol, Carol. Okay, all right. That's enough. Put the mute buttons back on. Carol, you're up.
Oh, now? Now. Okay.
Yes.
I dedicate this reading to Francis Sweeney, veteran who must not be killed by the horrible memory of the war in Vietnam. I think of Jack Powers as a saint who saved 1,000 people by getting them to discover the poetry in themselves. And to Chad, who has given me a lifetime of opportunities. This dress is from my niece, Carol Kessich, And my excellent spirits are due to Carol, my nephew Greg, my great niece Lydia Rose Donovan Kesich. I am 90 years old. Okay. That will, oh, I will, well, then what happens? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Well, I had to call to find out um, the name of the poet, um, of the poet. Anyway,
Keith Douglas.
Keith Douglas is the name of the poet who was the most important poet of World War II, and he died in it. And his poem kind of predicts it. Ravenous time has flowers for his food in autumn, yet can cleverly make good each petal. Devours animals and men, but for 10 dead he can create 10. How secretly you rose from man's size to this. No, that doesn't sound right. Some things are backwards. Rose from man's size to the smallness of a stone. You can gradually see him rise. Woo! Anyway, so Keith Douglas is the most important poet of World War II, and Tambi Mutu used to roar the poems, his poem, in the mornings, and on the subways. Oh, so I'll just start. Leonardo. I guess the biography by the Russian. Anyway, who condemned me to see, with my hands in the thick of my beard, answers everywhere, and over the bridge of my nose I should see in the running water the process of every running thing. Air is to be mounted, sun is to be looked upon, veins of a leaf in my hand burn in my brain with questions and answers. Not a stone in the road is free of messages. Not a nose of a single face can pass me without the anguish of my consciousness following it. The ocean of things tries to catch me in its undertow and bear me down. When I lift my foot to walk forward, it is as if all the roots of all things are dragging at my heel. The force of doubt is equal to the force of energy that prompts me, and that in me which does not want to move is answered by a gradual mastery, a continual momentum that cannot be broken. I put blinders over my heart and I push forward. I love by the supreme organization of the machine of myself. What if the pale, frail shell of a student should hang himself from my rafter, his earnest face lost in the knot of my struggle? I hold a bird in my hand, its feathers shaped to the running wind. My heart beats with its heart. I want to lift men up. I want to go myself up out of the force that holds me down. I test my wings against the wind and sky, and when the one that flies them falls, all of my inside self falls with him, and I flail the two of us until we rise again. There is nothing of mine I set in flight without a limb of myself aloft and subject to obliteration. Azraphel. George Barker, the British poet, a love of mine. I'm going to forget. Oh, yes. He said, when is Azraphel going to kill me? Hands around her neck. I have come to introduce you to death, Azraphel said. Hold your hands tighter so I can see my destiny, she said. In my pocket, I carry fossil whale's inner ear for balance and jasper to represent the floor of paradise. I, who cannot speak, call through infinity, and my voice echoes up the stairway to heaven. Oop, whoops. Oh, maybe that's the end. The dark bowl. Jack had a kind of fondness of this one. In the dark bowl of my soul danced a very slight light. When I blew off my lid, I blew out the light. When they came to my aid, they bent over the brim, extending their candles to light me again. Angst. Let's see. I ran away. I was writing a paper on sacrifice, and I took it very seriously and ran away to New York. I was a student at BU. Out along the street of the particular, leaving my bags of books behind, the fruit for sale was glistening with flies. Likewise, I too was powerless. I opened giant vaginal lips, and in hordes, the cripples and the insects crawled upon my shores. Through keyholes. Locked in their houses they wait. No one will let them out. Through their keyholes they watch a triumphal parade. It is the singing few for whom the doors have opened. Instant. This instant is the space over the candle flame where no flame shows, and everything that enters here burns into ashes. Exploration, age 2 to 25. In the crib, washing the underbars with spit on a handkerchief, I bite the white paint and extend myself across to suck the worn brass-plated doorknob. Birdsong is all around. I swing over the boards of the porch, holding the rope like a heavy braid of strands in my hand. At 5 years old, I lie in bed and play the tunnel of bears, sticking a pencil, erase the first of my vagina. The girls on the estate next door tie me in a chair to be the baby. I escape and run through gardens of blurred color. At the St. Patrick's Day parade, in the pouring rain, watching Daddy pass in uniform with his chin in, I feel on the gray cable-stitched sweater knitted by my grandmother the hands of a man behind me in the crowd, pressing on my new breasts. I find on the street a package of white balloons with stiff elastic mouths, tearing the balloon bar or part off and putting safety pins between the elastics. I make a necklace. Why is my father furious and telling me to take the damn thing off? Open your eyes and open your ears, but don't open your legs, said Rosa, the Puerto Rican in the frame factory in Chicago. And she jumps in the air in pink socks and patent leather sandals, lifting her skirt above her tan stomach. Across the country, alone in a donut shop, I see what I think are country musicians and follow them into their car. In their trailer, one of them hits a knife in the canary's cage, pressing the wire till it bends, and the scared canary flies wildly. I lie in the bunk bed, rifles held over my head as they boast of their exploits. One morning in New York, a poet of the waterfall and flame, that's George Barker, winces and raises out of our bed, his spread hand like a banner of desperation above our heads. The hot skillet, when I am afraid, I dance like a small ball of fat on a hot skillet. There. It's time for the rest. Oh, there are hearts running out of your head. How did you do that? I don't know. Oh, I see. Thank you.
That's how
Well,
the internet shows praise and love. Just go with it, and let's hear the rest.
wow. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
So did you have an encore? Did you have more to read?
Well, I finished now.
Okay. All right then. Ladies and gentlemen, throw your heart emojis out and your round of applause for Carol Weston, who I'm wondering if she will tell us if she knows when the next book's going to be coming.
Oh, I don't know if I'll be alive or dead because I can't stop writing a few things from time to time. They come popping out, and Amanda says it's all right. Amanda says it's all right. Amanda Cook. Yeah.
That's what I thought you meant.
Yeah.
Carol, whatever dead means, I don't think that's going to happen to you. You've been beyond alive, and I think you're going to continue no matter what.
Thank you.
Blessed be.
If anybody, you. You've had wings for as long as I've known you.
Oh,
Well, that was wonderful, Carol, and I hope you stay for the open mic as
I
we
certainly will.
or at least as long as you can, as we
I
try to live up to that example.
will.
It's just
Yeah.
a round robin. It's just the ones you see here reading, the ones who have elected to read, and we can do that right now. And you are our guests. You're our guests now, and we got to try and live up to what you did. Thanks, Carol. Never, that's not gonna happen with me. But let's see how the rest of you do. And let's start with Mary Jennings, who was last week's feature.
Thank you. Thank you, Chad. It's glad to be back last week. As I mentioned, when I read the prologue, after I read the prologue of my mystery novel, that I have this fascination with the lives of artists who have mysteriously disappeared. And I know somebody mentioned Ambrose Bierce earlier. And I've been particularly fascinated by the life of Connie Converse, who who had many, many talents, but she was especially a folk singer in Greenwich Village in the 1950s who mainly did house party gigs and never really got any professional exposure, with the exception of an appearance on an early morning talk show that really took her nowhere. And so I wrote this dedicated to her memory. She disappeared in 1974, shortly after President Richard Nixon's resignation, which she was making sure that he was out finally before she decided to take off and start fresh, and was never heard from again. And it's called Her Resolution, Elsewhere. Woman with a fertile mind, cut loose from the man of the cloth, her soul unfiltered finally, sending her reserve elsewhere. She was refined in voice and verse, though foul be her self-care. She sang songs of the outrageous flirt and conversing with mythical gods. No club dates lined up, no record deals to be had. Soured on striving to get noticed, she took her cluster of knowledge elsewhere, found a new outlet, established a closer filial bond. Woman with a fertile mind, cut loose from academia and source of income, felt unfit for life. Her resolution. She took her clutter of possessions and failing body elsewhere. She is cut loose from all. Thank you.
Mm. Thank you, Mary. Up next, let's welcome up, who do I want to bring up next? Let's bring up Jackie Chow.
Okay, so I'm just going to read my poem. It is inspired by Pablo Neruda, who wrote a poem about tomatoes called Ode to Tomatoes. But I'm not going to read his poem because it's kind of long. So I'll go ahead and read the poem I wrote that was inspired by his poem. And there was a call for poems about vegetables. And this poem is called The Bell Pepper That Becomes an Apple in My Painting. The bell pepper poised quietly on its lobes, still as the still life of which it is the main character. If only my pencil was able to trace its curvatures that are so different from the roundish apple that has taken shape on the canvas. My brush incapable of mixing paint into its emerald hue, let alone capture the reflections of its glossy skin, creating a hybrid of fruit and vegetable, which it is not. For there is nothing complicated about the green jewel, who remains silent without protest. Okay, so that's my poem. And I'm going to read another poem. Okay, that one is, okay. So this is based on a line from Shakespeare's Sonnet 18. My poem is called Sometime Too Hot, the Eye of Heaven Shines. Sometimes too hot, the eye of heaven shines. I find myself panting and sweating from tree to tree in my search for shade. Wonder under the green awning of a bakery that's gone, whose owner has moved and is happily married. My heart is depleted of love for him or anyone at all. Just a short poem. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Bill Lewis, want to get your head out of the berries and into the next open mic slot? It's all yours.
Wow, thank you so much, Jennifer. They shot him. They said he deserved to die. He went out among those who hated them, so of course he was shot. He carried no guns, threatened no man, but he had to die. He went to colleges, challenges the biases that the students had grown up with, and some of them changed their minds. Some of the students saw the world in a different light. They abandoned their leaders, so he had to die. He was Christian, far too Christian. He talked about God too much. He had to die. Did his skin color make a difference? What if he had been born white? Would they still have killed Martin Luther King? If Charlie had been born black, would they still have killed him? I see them in heaven together now, holding hands.
Thank you, Bill. And who do we want up next? I'm going to bring up Rita Rusty Rose.
Yes, thank you so much. Carol, I'm delighted to be here listening to your poetry tonight. And I was going to read a piece I was working on, but because you're saying, but how do I know you? How do I know you? And your affiliation with Allen Ginsberg, my affiliation was with Jack Kerouac. So, to tell you that. So I'm going to read a poem I wrote about him in your honor. When he wasn't, who he was and running around the street with other poets and everything, um, he wore these pink girly slippers. My dad did some work for, I don't know if it was his mother, his wife. I don't remember. I was young. So this is a fun piece, and it's called Transcending Generations. On the road, in his pink girly slippers and Japanese kimono, Canadian club in hand and snapping his fingers to jazz, he saunters to Washington Square Park. And on a converging road, wearing fringed moccasins, I trot along McDougal Street, browse head shops along Bleecker, and humming a popular tune, I then come to rest on a boulder just beyond the men playing chess in Washington Square. And I strum my folk guitar with resolve and mushroom to enhance creativity, he offers. And I sing the blues, all the while intrigued by him in his black shades, black Japanese kimono, black beret, and rolling nickels bulging from pocket. And I am charmed by his toe tapping and feathery pink slippers, bopping head, finger popping. He exclaims, good beat, man, really beat. And his shy eyes study my psychedelic hippie threads and seed beads. And groovy, man, I reply, plucking a 12-bar beat. And he raises a paper cup to my lips, and I swig the sweet whiskey, and he flashes his blue eyes. Beatific, man, you wail. Nickel for your thoughts. Heavy, man, I reply, far out, and hand in hand we stroll, beat the gravel to burn like a yellow Roman candle. Thank you.
Love the selection, Rita. Thank you so much. And up next, I'd like to bring up Mr. John Wesick.
Okay, we've been reading The Divine Parody, and right now we're in Purgatory, which is a creative writing program in Madagascar. And our two characters are Jonte the poet and Chad, a reformed demon. Oh, and the writing program is based on the seven deadly sins. Classes dragged on. In the second week, we wrote about food in the gluttony module. After that, we tackled advertising copy, greed, haiku, sloth, and action adventure wrath. Although the Fianarantsoa Community College MFA program only lasted several weeks, my classmates made it seem like 2 years. Their criticism had little to do with the merit of the writing. Instead, it reinforced the pecking order by ridiculing anyone expressing an original thought or an opinion at odds with the latest political trends. Two good things came from it. I began writing whatever I damn well pleased, regardless of what they said, and I had plenty of motivation for the next module. Envy. We're having a poetry slam this Friday, Professor Coffey announced at the start of the 6th week. Judges chosen at random from an audience of students will score the original poems you recite. To motivate you to compete, we're offering a trip to the heavens on the Omnidyne space plane as first prize. I raised my hand. Having competed in poetry slams before, I had only one question. Will the judges be able to understand English? I spent the whole week woodshedding a few poems I'd written years earlier. By Friday, I felt confident I wouldn't stumble over my words or forget a line in the pressure of competition. About 100 students sat in rows facing a raised stage in the sweltering Andrianaponia Arena conference room. My classmates and I leaned against the wall while Professor Coffey explained the rules. 5 judges would score each participant's poem from 1 to 10 and include decimal points to avoid ties. Of the 8 competitors, Eva had chosen to pass. The 3 with the highest scores would advance to the second round and recite different poems. The one with the top score in that round would be the winner. Clancy was first. Despite the heat, he wore a leather bomber jacket with a hawk insignia embroidered on his chest. Tone Lock, Vietnam. While my buddies roast hot dogs over a C4 fire, Charlie hides in the jungle getting stronger. We drink beer, he eats cold rice and rat meat while plotting an audacious attack, an attack that'll leave most of my company dead. Being in his early 20s, Clancy could not have served in Vietnam. I suppose he was projecting a persona. He finished with a crisp salute and stood at attention while the judges delivered their scores. 6.1, 5.9, 7.6, 6.4, pie. Adding these up gave Clancy a grand score of 29.14159,635. Brett followed. The only thing more painful than listening to his talking penis poem again was hearing the judges give it 8s and 9s. The score was 41.71828,183. Tyler's erotic Christian poem earned a respectable 39.414235, and Hampton's rants about U.S. polity in Central America got a 41.60217733. Chad went next. He'd changed out of his overalls and into a pair of khaki slacks and a gauzy white shirt that he'd unbuttoned to the waist. Rather than stand, he sat on the edge of the stage to give the judges a better view of his golden hairless chest and bulging pecs. It didn't matter what he said, he was going to the next round. I had the rotten luck of going next. After my introduction, I climbed onto the stage and walked, footsteps sounding like a drum beats on a hollow wood, to the microphone. I looked at the crowd. Chad's perfect score of 50 would outclass anything I did. I swallowed and began. In the library of unrecorded dreams, the blind scribe reaches for his quill. Rolling the shaft between thumb and index finger, he gropes with the other hand for the naked parchment. Yellow as a jaundiced eye and thirsty for ink, mindful as a deer is surrounded by wolves, he waits for his voice. Okay, so I wasn't Dante, but I got a score of 42.9979248, which put me in second place. I was feeling good until Professor Coffee introduced the next poet, and Dieter began bellowing from the audience before he got to the microphone. Tammy Faye Baker lies in a hospital room, her pillow smudged with mascara, an IV bottle dripping fluid the color of cotton candy into her veins. Damn, he was using the old start before you reach the stage trick. Why hadn't I thought of that? The judges awarded Dieter a 44.6260755 points, moving me into third place. With only one more contestant, could I hold on and get into the second round? As soon as Professor Coffee introduced her, Agne let the blue terry cloth robe slip from her shoulders and climbed naked onto the stage. The crowd gasped as she began pulling an adding machine tape from her vagina and reading the words inked on the paper. The white male power structure told me to write poems that were more universal. Universal hell! There's nothing universal about the poetry of privilege. I was so engrossed in the primal image of her breasts, pubic hair, and thighs that I don't remember much about her performance, except having a vague feeling that I would not be going out with her anytime soon. Then the judges awarded her a 47.80665, putting me in fourth place. I sprang to my feet. No fair, I yelled, using props as against the rules. The judges conferred. After 5 minutes, Professor Coffee announced their ruling. Since Agne's vagina was part of her body, it was not a prop. Her score would stand. I was out of the competition. In a way, it was a relief. I could relax and watch the final round. To no one's surprise, Chad took first place. Professor Coffee presented him with a ticket for the spaceplane ride, and people crowded around to shake his hand. I decided to skip the party, not because I felt cheated, but because I was ashamed of the petty emotions I felt that had let the slam arouse in me. I always wanted my writing to open people up and bring them together, but I was on the verge of sinking into spite. The least I could do was congratulate the winner. Not long after I joined the line of well-wishers, Eva ambushed Chad with a long kiss and dragged him out of the room. I felt certain we would write memoirs in the Pride module, but it was about literary criticism. Professor Coffee explained that criticism had nothing to do with what the author wanted to say. Instead, it was all about the critic. So, for example, writing about the relevance of quantum theory to Plato's Republic was okay, even though quantum theory didn't exist until 2,000 years after Plato died. I told myself that writing as criticism was just a game or a parody, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. My previous scientific training wouldn't let me perpetuate that kind of crime against intellectual honesty. I became the only student in the history of the Fininetsaroa Community College MFA program in creative writing to enroll and not graduate. On graduation day, I stood in back of the Andriana Pora conference room. The air conditioning was still broken, and the temperature was over 90 degrees. My shirt reeked with the vegetable soup smell I admit when I sweat. I applauded as each of my classmates received his or her degree. When the last one took her diploma from Professor Coffee's hands, I slipped out the double door, descended the stairs, and exited onto the dusty courtyard. The sun was hot on my face, but the breeze dried my sticky shirt. I decided to hitchhike into town, take a bus to the capital, and see about a flight to San Diego. As they approached the gate, a voice called out, "Jonte, wait up!" Chad got up with me and handed me the space plane ticket. "I wanted to give you this." "But you want it, it's yours." "I never would have gotten here if you hadn't showed me the way out of hell." He wiped the sweat off his forehead. "Besides, the Fininetsaroa Community College is hiring Eva as an assistant professor. I kind of thought I'd stick around." The following day, I took my seat on the crowded bus to Ontario. Baggage jammed the aisles, and the air carried the meaty smell of sweating bodies. I didn't mind. While looking through the dirty windows at the landscape of Africa, I daydreamed about my upcoming flight. Literary celebrities would probably be on board, maybe Maud Newton or Michio Kakutani. Soon I'd be rocketing into space with the stars. And stay tuned for the comedic Paradiso starting next week.
And so it goes. Thank you, John. I'd like to bring up Jan Rowe next if she is available. Yes, she is.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
So we were late for the writing group, Black Seed Writers, this week. So luckily, I found this copy in the trash can of the weekly because we went to Michigan for his 60th high school reunion. And when you have a connecting flight at O'Hare, it gets confusing because Michigan and Boston are on Eastern Standard Time, but Chicago's on Central. But anyway, this is the one I got out of the trash can. I remembered to get it after meditation group. Why we didn't go to the cemetery this visit home 2025. The cemeteries were abandoned last couple visits home. So that's not why we didn't go visit. However, when my older sister's substitute mom visited soon after we did, my brother, and she visited the cemetery, the one without tombstones. Also, it's not because Cemetery Road is now closed, as there are two other ways to get to Bridgeport Cemetery, even in the late 60s, before and after we got our driver's license. Only one house remained on Cemetery Road. The other houses had collapsed or fallen over the hill towards Jackie's reputed whorehouse and the coke ovens that families lived in during the Depression. So, lack of visit to abandoned cemeteries could be fear of death. My brother and spouse in their late 60s are raising a 15-month-old of her nephew. The nephew's mom died after back surgery, although an addict. Coal out, opiates in. My brother says she died of intentional overdose after the surgery, and Uncle Lou in his 90s was calling upstairs for her to wake up, but she was dead. Could have been accidental, yes. The oldest people live in the steepest places, like back home, but with all those cigarettes and all that alcohol. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. And up next, I'd like to bring up CC Oshagra. It's been a while as well for you. Welcome back.
Yeah, I've done less than a handful of open mics the entire year. It's been a crazy year, but I finally landed someplace relatively close to defining the word home, so I'm happy for now. I've been um, writing a lot of songs, and and then I've been inspired by this young artist that I discovered about a year ago, Jesse Wells, and I'm just super impressed by how grounded a character he is, and he's become internationally famous and touring and selling out next year's concerts already. And he just got an award. He's from Arkansas. He plays in the woods alone. He's taken folk music and he's added distributing his work in real time through the mediums that are out there, playing alone in the woods and out in the fields and putting them up on TikTok and stuff like that. And he has taken folk music and added real-time journalism to the work of Dylan and Willie Nelson and Pete Seeger and it's just, and he's been compared to just about everybody in the history of folk music that made a difference. And he just got an award, a lifetime achievement award in his early 30s, I think only. So I was so inspired that I went to the International Beat Poetry Conference, which I do every year up in New Hartford here, Connecticut. And I almost didn't go, but at the last minute, I wrote a few lines and I said, I'll go and take my guitar and do this, which I haven't played in a long time. And I did that. And then I came home and I worked on it and did a second one. So I'm going to play that for you because I just launched it. So I'm going to do like a share screen here. Let's see if that works. And then it's supposed to pop up where I'm supposed to have a choice of stuff that's open on my computer. Let's see if that happens. Is it available? Yep. Okay, here it is. Okay, so let me tell me if you see this screen. Okay, it says no mom, no dad. Now, raw is when a poet sings, goes back to the 90s. Every time I write a song, I always thought that basically my work would end up in a book of just my lyrics. So you could read them because I'm all about the words. And if you remember way back, Jack used to love Jack's favorite song that I ever sang was called "The Ugly Human Trials," and I haven't heard that in a long time. But just to say thank you before I play this, I'm going to put the quote that I wrote for Carol in the chat. And it says, Carol Weston is one of the most cosmically grounded and mindfully moving poets of our time. Her universality is deep as it is transparently beautiful. And I just wanted to do that and give that. Hopefully, I was going to be able to make it today. So this is a song that probably needs a lot of love. So it may even, I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to get me killed, but I'm saying the possibility of that is probably out there. Um, I'll just let it speak for itself. It's got the words on it, and here goes. It's whatever, 4 minutes. Okay. No, Mom, no, Dad. They said, no, Mom, no, Dad. Why'd you take the money? Fight against all humankind. The children said, oh, no, Dad. Oh, no, Mom. Constitution. There is no right side of one love. Why are you protecting the oppressors? You're gonna ruin loved ones' lives. You're gonna beat up on children now. You're gonna beat up on women too. Go to work for slavers and hunt human beings down. Obey dictators while hiding your faith from the whole world, but especially from yourself. Be a Nazi who would worship fear to end all human consciousness. Tell your soul and both your mind just to not see how you murder life. You're not a human father or a human mother, and we will not be your daughters or your son. You choose to obey hate while serving fear behind a coward's mask. Protect your owners young. We will not be the children of ordered and old kidnappers run with a pack of license speaks. You don't care if people live or die, or if to be human equals where free speech. Deserve no love for men or women or the innocent children of this life. You're against love itself, against all nature. You're fighting against all humankind. You've got no right to stop nonviolence and to obey those who are paying you to live a lie. You are ordered to kill anyone. And if you question that, you can't say you're right. Oh, but I was only following orders. Will not protect you in the end. That failed in Nuremberg, and it will again. This time without a paper clip. You know this kills us. And it rips out our hearts. We will not be the children who inherit the chilling, cold-blooded deeds that you have done. You do not fathom how to raise a child or to teach it right from wrong. What's the next deed in your heart grown so cold to kill the art of writing songs? I will not play your program or games. No, I will reclaim my grateful life. You're only terrorizing your own name. You turn your own blood into shame. You're not a human father or a human mother. We can't be your daughters or your sons. You chose to obey hate while serving fear behind the mask of a coward's gun while protecting just their young. They said, no, mom, no, dad. You took the money to fight against all humankind. The children said, oh, no, dad, oh, no, mom. There's the Constitution, and there is no right side of one love. And that's sad that that song had to be written. Um, and then I uploaded it. So at the end of that, there's the song that I wrote dedicating it to the fandom aspect of a new artist arriving and what happened to all the people in our generation. I don't think this generation understands that when artists like Dylan showed up on the scene and Carlin in poetry and in comedy, that the entertainment industrial complex farms it into just a few. Even the beats, there's the three top beats. It's like Ed Sanders is never mentioned. He's been to Stone Soup so many times. I got videos of him and the Fugs. People know about him, but it's way on the fringe. And even Zappa, who railed against the system, that you could see his stuff on YouTube. Met his daughter the other day. She lives around here. Anyway, so it's a thing to put yourself out there on the internet with a song like this, especially after the Charlie thing happened. And then what's happening to us. We're poets, and we're living in a war over rhetoric. I mean, controlling the narrative and then dividing it where everybody only hears what they want to hear and they never hear the other half. And so our job is so important. And there's something about Jesse Wells. He literally wrote a song called Charlie Days After It Happened, which is one of the finest works of art that I've heard come out of the arts that wasn't blue or red. And he tackled that subject unbelievably well. I suggest everyone check him out. This is my little ode to him. This is a second song inspired by him. And I don't think you should be afraid to die if you're going to do this job. Basically, is kind of what I'm saying. As soon as you shut yourself up, then that's the whole point of shutting off. I mean, who we are as a life form. I don't know if you guys are into. I know I'm ranting. I'll stop in a second. But science and politics and living in Stone Soup and living between MIT and Harvard, when I released my book, Emotional Geography, I gave it to a bunch of Stone Soupers, and they said some of my work was too multidimensional and metaphysical. And so I would go out after I read my book before I published it. And the people that would come up to me and say, yeah, I get the poem. And I would say, well, what did you like? The only ones that answered were the students who were studying physics over at MIT that used to come to Stone Soup. So then I separated it into two books. And ever since then, I've been following physics as an artist and a poet. So quantum physics, epigenetics, these are things that are on our side as a life form on a planet. And I think you should saturate yourself with those two subjects. Little nod there to Mr. John here, my physics buddy. I remember your first poem touched on that. And that's it. So thank you. Love you. And please do the like and the share thing, because if my family here, where I cut my teeth on stage singing, shaking like a leaf with the guitar for the first time 20, 30 years ago on Stone Soup, just like it and share it. If you think that this song is, if it's going to get me killed, share it. So at least I know why I died. I would be honored. Thank you. All right, that's it.
Thank you, Cece. Up next, I'd like to bring up Brandy, aka Whisper Poet, if she's ready. I think she is.
Hi. Thank you so much. Happy to be here with you guys. Can I read two brief pieces?
Yes.
Okay. This is called Moon Chase. Last night, in the velvet quiet of the dark, the moon was flirting with me through the lace of the branches of the trees. I saw her glow as she rose, standing in my kitchen looking out through the window. Her bright glory brought excitement to my mind, and I rushed out to greet her, as fervent as a lover rushing into lover's arms. Then out in the yard I chased her through the dew-soaked grass while she teased me with the view of her lovely orb, not yet fully formed, hiding and seeking one another as she revealed glimpses of her lovely shape, as an ingenue bats her eyes to tantalize and offer a promise to be beheld if I can just be patient. And what sweet libation awaits? Not her lips, oh sweet lips of alabaster, but a satiety that comes from filling my eyes with her wholesome glory from my humble yard observatory. I revel in her glow upon my skin. She refreshes the chambers of my heart with love and light. She reminds me to remember that I am made of stardust, moon glow, and energy. She connects me to the universe in peaceful synergy, the ultimate coquette, framed by stars and radiant from sun's blaze. I give thanks to the moon for gifting me with her beauty and grace. And this one is about my grandma. There were handmade cabinets in the kitchen, and the drawers made a rough sound when they opened. The drawer to the right of the dish rack, filled with the lessons of penury, with used and washed squares of aluminum foil folded neatly and ready for future use. Ziploc bags were stored the same and lay alongside their silver cousins, waiting for Grandma. She grew up in the Depression, a small-town farm girl who applied herself in school, graduated valedictorian, and then married in West Virginia to a soldier who served in World War II. And while he wore khaki and honored the flag, she was building a business for herself. She was the egg lady to those in the neighborhood. With her 3 large houses of snowy white chicken, she applied herself to her home and family, her garden and her church. Her life was orderly and precise. She made bread on Tuesdays and Fridays, and the egg truck came like clockwork in the mornings each Monday. Her pleasures were simple: crocheted blankets woven from strands of rainbow, African violets of every flowered hue, a garden gloriously riotous with colorful vegetables. Grandma loved painting her world with color. I remember her with the makings of an Afghan lying in her lap, reading a Harlequin in the recliner that belonged to Dada. When he was at home, she sat on the couch, but during the day, while he was at work, it was her house, and she filled her simple home with purpose and the contentment of purpose fulfilled. But I keep thinking about the rainbow. Did Grandma have secret dreams she never told? I'll never know. But I feel the reassuring comfort where my shoulder is a perch for her hand. I feel her presence when I need protection. My home is filled with mementos of her, and an African violet in mauve pink graces the shelf in the kitchen in honor of her. Grandma was my foundation, the soil for my tender heart of Pisces water and the wings beneath my force of will. In those moments when the curveballs of life leave me flailing in vertigo, I wrap her quiet strength around me, the rainbow afghan of her heart, an angel glow, my ancestor, my guardian, and my touchstone. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy, the poem whisperer. We are moving forward. We have a couple people left on the open mic. Maybe one or two people have joined us. I want to ask if Lydia Hart is interested in reading. I might assume not. If Kitay, K-I-T, is that two T's? K-I-T-T-A-Y wants to read, she is more than welcome to. Okay. Okay, then in that case, I think we only have one other person aside from our usual closer, who is, I know, is just chomping at the bit to get going. Let's welcome up Mr. Robert Fleming. Let me know if you need screen sharing permissions. I think you came in after.
I think I have it. Thank you, Chad.
Good.
Good evening. I'm Robert Fleming. I'm a visual poet and digital artist from Lewis, Delaware, and I'm going to share a digital art sequence and a poem. I'm currently preparing a second submission for a magazine called Blood and Honey for digital art. And I've picked to do something related to the title of the magazine, focusing on the word blood. So I first did an image collection. So the first one on the left side is a torso. The right side is more of a full body image. And then the left is just a head, right are legs, and a full torso. And these are two images created in medical laboratories, blood cells. So the next step I do is image preparation, which is mostly removing unwanted parts, which is called cropping. I'm going to show that with the full body image on the left. The left side is the uncropped image, and the right side is the cropped image. The crop wasn't completely successful. So on the left side, under the body torso, you still have some text. Some of the lessons I learned in terms of selecting the image is that digital art is usually successful when you have 3 or more colors. So images with 1 or 2 colors generate poor results. A lot of the images that I collected were just 1 color and they were red, and I did not continue with them. So for example, this is an image where there really is only 1 color in the image, which is red, and I would not work with it. So I decided to work with the image on the left, the torso, and more of the full body on the right. So this is the sequence I did of the torso image using the digital software called Canva. The left side is a black and white image, and the right side is red, white, and blue. It's made with a filter called color mix. And then continuing with the color mix, we have mostly purple on the left side and mostly pink on the right side. And then the left side is a multicolored which is usually created with a filter called Trippy. And then the right side is a filter called voxel art, which makes your image look like Lego. And then this is a typical presentation style that Andy Warhol created with his lithographs. This is probably his most well-known one of Marilyn Monroe, where he took 4 separate paintings and put them together. And here, this is the similar concept for presentation that I've created, but I have not put the background color behind each one, which I might continue to do. And then the left side is the original image, and the right side is my favorite one because it has an American patriotic flavor with red, white, and blue in it. My second share is about an opportunity which I think I saw on Facebook under the Stone Soup page for the Massachusetts Poetry Olympics. They're having 5 categories you can enter in: elegy, free verse, haiku, ode, and villanelle. Since I attended university in Waltham, Massachusetts from 1980 to 84, I'm eligible as a prior resident of Massachusetts to enter. So I will share my villanelle. Father Knows Best 2023 reunion show. 10 3/4-pound burgers with plain bun, no mayo, oodles of ketchup. Kathy, if you talk while eating or eat while talking, you're done. Don't try to upsell me, takeout, window dudette. Just burgers. Don't fuck up. Betty, if you go to the bathroom, you must come back to the table. Be a grown-up. James Jr., eat what's on your plate. You're not getting something else, son. 10 3/4-pound burgers with plain bun, no mayo, oodles of ketchup. No phones at the table. No screaming. Don't call daddy asshole. Shut up. Andersons, can we eat a family meal together without rules? Junior, give me your BB gun. Don't try to upsell me, take out window dudette. Just burgers. Don't fuck up. Junior, put on your protector. Get your shoulder pad, knee pads, and hockey puck. Kathy, you can't eat cereal for dinner. Drip salt-free soy sauce on wontons. 10 3/4-pound burgers with plain bun, no mayo, oodles of ketchup. Betty, 5 lovers. To stay in father's house. Now, pee in the styrofoam cup. Junior, you can't have an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle because of our budget overrun. Don't try to upsell me, takeout window dudette. Just burgers. Don't fuck up. Junior, before you eat corn, spread butter and shake salt and bite like a woodchuck. Andersons, every time our family eats together without the cops, we won. Don't try to upsell me, takeout window dudette. Just burgers, don't fuck up. 10 3/4-pound burgers with plain bun, no mayo, oodles of ketchup. And that was a villanelle. Thank you. And I will put the link in the chat in case you want to participate in the Massachusetts Poetry Olympics.
So it's limited to, so you have to live in Massachusetts to enter the contest.
At some point in your life, yes.
Okay.
Or you could just make that claim.
Okay.
Finds a loophole. Okay, my apologies for almost missing Richard Spizak. I am thrilled to get him back on. I don't know if you've heard Richard, Carol. So you're in for a treat. I think you've heard most of everyone else who's been on the call in the last in the last 3 or 4 years that you've been online, but or on the phone with us. But let's welcome up Mr. Richard Spizak next.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to read with this fine assemblage of poets. I have two little pieces for you. Hopefully you'll find at least one of these amusing. I first bring you a piece called The AI Architect on Your Desk. The AI architect on your desk, don't you really think that he knows best? He's already read even digested every book you carry around in your pocket vest. He's not been elected to Parliament. He hadn't been interviewed by the BBC, but somehow he's quite qualified for office. You sure as hell think that, maybe, but not me. He's been selected, not elected. He didn't vote in the dadgum plebiscite. What the infection? He's somehow qualified to plan the traffic. He might as well. It's sort of tragic. In Albania, they selected an AI advisor, never elected. I just hope it'll be the wiser. Not just in Parliament, a lawmaker, sure, but he wants more than batteries for power. So will they give him more? Your doctor is AI guided, your car is too. And what if AI is steering even the word choices offered you? So many people and their pets are entertained by AI, they've begun to get damn near everything is AI wet. So when so many people are falling in love with their robot toys, you gall darn off and you might begin to wonder where's the joy of human interaction and the pleasure of not knowing what's going on in your lover's mind. You're not a glove. It might be love. And if politicians were robots, the Albanians reason, therefore they can't be bribed in or out of election season. But come on now. They aren't human. Their entire word is contrived, conceived by technocrats who keep their greedy silicone fingers in. Do you really think out robots can delete original sin and win? My second piece is also science-oriented. It's called Science is Observation. You know, so many people are turning their back on inconvenient data. I had to write this piece to remind people what is science? What is data collection to test your assumptions? So science is observation, analysis, and continually revising theoretical explanations, testing each doubt arising, where data collides with those so often with all your so well articulated expectations, and freshly sampled data renews sweet revelation will reluctantly eschew. And though continual reevaluation of theory based on data, not revelation, while others would rush willy-nilly, they sometimes manage a sidelong glance at that row of details arranged and rarely silly assembled sometime later in the dance. And will it rarely, if ever, be forgiven half the chance? Data collection and the flexibility to refresh and revise explanation of this ability, open-minded data collection denies fallacious uncertainty, and at the very least confounds the dizzying compounds of tendentious expectations. Examples there are, to be sure, of quite considerable reluctance in some quarters to accept fresh data knocking impertinently at the door. And while ossified and arthritic closed minds, those who would sentry guard against imposition of too fresh ideas, daring to sneak across the borders and keep fresh facts there under orders, restrained, under no comfortable order, under lock and key, washing up and waiting for the porters who would not let her be. Countless innovators pitted too often against the powers that be, but for progress to be fresh, they must not block the newer, fresher key of mind. Eventually, the old guard falls out of their ossified ideas, bouncing balls, leaving room for fresher takes and cleaner breaks and brand new vistas. We seize ya, human beings seizing breath, not death. Science is observation, well understood as thus in every nation. So science is observation. Thank you, my friends. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Richard. And Very nice. Check out that second poem he wrote. It was actually published in Oddball Magazine on Monday, and check out oddballmagazine.com. We're looking for more timely political works, and we're about to close with. In the old days, we would in person we would close with the Bill Barnum. Unfortunately, the late Bill Barnum. We now feature with the person who was the penultimate closer, now the big closer, and his work is featured every Thursday morning in oddballmagazine.com with the poem column, which is a concept I helped start. Check it out. It's called It's All One Thing, and it's every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. And now let's welcome up Mr. James Van Loy.
Thanks, Chad. So I've got this piece here called Ma Barker at the Department of Corrections. Ma Barker at the DOC. And Ma Barker, of course, was the woman who actually started this poetry reading series that Carol mentioned that we went to for many years, at least 12 years. And we're out there several times a year and having poetry readings with the inside poets and the outside poets. So this is Ma Barker at the DOC. The last times you came out to meet your boys in the prison, they wouldn't even let you in, despite the fact that you spent over a quarter century organizing poetry readings for the inmates, and it was the last thing that Alzheimer's hadn't taken from you. The first time they turned you away was because you forgot your ID. Well, the second time you forgot to take off your watch before you went into the trap, and they turned you and barred you for the night because of that transgression. The only kindness, much less justice in the whole thing, was that you were persistent and patient as always, and didn't seem to remember what had happened, and calmly proceeded to continue to do everything possible to get to see your boys again. That was Ma Barker's Boys. And there's a song, it kind of goes with it. It's called Bread and Roses. As we go marching, marching in the beauty of the day, a million darkened kitchens, a thousand billows gray are touched with all the radiance that a sudden sun discloses. For the people hear us sing, bread and roses, bread and roses, as we go marching, marching, we battle for men. For they are women's children. Let the mother speak again. Our life shall not be sweated from birth until life closes. Hearts starve as well as bodies. Give us bread, but give us roses as we go marching, marching. Unnumbered women dead go crying through our singing their ancient call for bread. Small heart and love and beauty, their trudging spirits know. For its bread we fight for, but fight for roses too. As we go marching, marching, people hear our call. For the rising of the women means the rising of us all. No more the drudge and idler can toil where one reposes, but sharing of life's oh glories, bread and roses, bread and roses, bread and roses, bread and roses. Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Oh.
Elizabeth Barker. That's an amazing woman. That's an amazing. She used to come to Stone Soup, and if I remember, you can correct me, James.
Yeah.
Every time she started up a program to do to work with the prisoners and do a poetry thing, and they cut her budget, and then she was knocked out. She went back, but if I recall, the truth is that everyone that's ever gone to one of her poetry events inside a prison never never got arrested again. They never went back. She had a clean record of people that she actually taught poetry in prison to never go back in once out. And I think that was one of her legacies. Is that true from what I remember?
She set up a program that'll actually allow the inmates there at Bay State to go to college and actually get a degree. And so what she always said was that anybody who ever finished that program and actually got a degree and got out never, ever reoffended and was never sent back. So she said all of the inmates who actually passed through that program and were able to actually get enough education to actually have a college degree never ever reoffended.
And in the early days of the prison industrial complex, they didn't want to lose a customer, so that was a big deal.
I think they own people, yeah.
And another thing that I learned and when I went, I talked to the guards, and it was really green. I went in there completely like, where am I? What is this? And why am I here? And I once asked one of the guards, "What's your job? What do you do here? What is it that you do?" And they go, "Any sign of freedom or authority, it's our job to punish that." And I didn't know that. And that goes back 30 years. There were a couple other things that I asked and learned that changed my life. She made a difference in a lot of people's lives. But as far as mine goes, I've always been grateful to her my whole life.
Good.
An amazing poet amongst us. Not just a poet, but a working, doing the work on the ground like Jack, giving people a voice. And thank you for saying that in your opening piece, Carol. How important it is that Jack gave us thousands of people their voice. That was something he did more so than himself. Jack always wanted his voice too, but he was, and I remember talking to him and visiting him about that. It was not easy for him to not become the poet in himself. He was a poet, but he cared more about the poet in everyone than he did the one in himself. In some ways, I remember when I went for a coffee with him with Ferlinghetti after Ferlinghetti was there, and I wrote a poem about it. That was that, and it was about that. It was about him looking up to Ferlinghetti, but really Ferlinghetti looking up to him. It was Jack gave a lot more than 1,000 people, thousands, their voice, no matter who they were, from what walk of life. That's another thing, the stratification. He railed against the stratification of poetry and what happened to him and the whole thing with slam and what happened to him with Michael Brown. But this community, and the fact that you're still carrying it is has a lot more history than us showing up each week to hear each other and ourselves. Our work is important. So love you all.
And with that, we will thank Carol Weston for making this night historical. This has been an amazing combination of old and new voices, which is what Stone Soup is always. I've always tried to have Stone Soup try to be. Thank you so much to Carol. Carol. Okay, we don't have to do that. But and thanks so much to Carol Blecker for how. Thank you. She's waving now. Thanks to her for setting this up, so we can see Carol at least one more time this year. Hopefully, more will come in the future. We'd love to have her back for May, but we'll talk more about that at another time. And thanks for being a great feature, Carol, and thanks to for inspiring so many people to come back tonight, and thanks for inspiring so many people to come forward. We had some new voices, and hopefully they'll be back. A couple of people will be back next time to actually read. A couple of people politely declined, but we'll be looking forward to seeing them again. Nice. Oh my God, Jim with short hair. Good Lord. Um, let us let's do a traditional wave as we wave goodbye to Carol and to each other. We will see you all next week. I'll be announcing hopefully the last feature of September, and I have two exciting features coming up at least for October that hopefully I'll be finalizing later this weekend. It's going to be an exciting end of the year, as in addition to being already an interesting end of the year through none of my machinations. But stay safe, take care of yourselves, take care of everyone else. Carol, thank you again. Anything you want to say in closing?
Wow, that's all I can say. Thank you.
I couldn't have put it better myself. Wow, indeed, and thank you, everyone, and have yourselves an excellent evening. Carol needs to go to bed. So does the other Carol.
Hey, bravo!
Thank you.
The show's over.
Yeah.
See you next time. Carol, Carol, Carol.
Carol,
Good to see you, Rita, too.
Carol.